Good evening, everyone. I'm Saida Fatima Hassan Gidani, Senior Vice Chairperson, Read Pakistan, the co-founder, as you all know. We are here with Jessica today, and I'm going to start with a brief introduction of Jessica. We all know that there have been a long-awaited, time that lapsed, and we were all waiting anxiously for Jessica to join us. Amazing a person she is. Not just that, I'm going to add up a couple of things that just might not be known to you. And I think that would be just wonderful for all of you to know. I got so many messages, Jessica. I'm bringing it to your knowledge that people were so excited to have you. By the way, for people who do not know, Jessica J. Lockhart is a renowned international award winning writer, and she's a great speaker that you all are going to experience in a couple of moments. She has created technology, the new discipline that studies and explains human beings. The most amazing part is that we know so many people around us, and we don't know that so many geniuses exist around us as well at the same time. She is a wonderful person. Let me add, she's a brilliant, magnificent person. She has this vibrant personality, and she actually delivers through your soul. It comprises of different tools, the kind of study that she has been working upon, the strategies and the methods that she uses to manage and increase motivation and optimism. The very wonderful thing about her is that she's working on those aspects of life which are really needed nowadays. I was just sharing with Jessica a couple of moments ago that I was going through a very depressive state of my life. And it was a little bit of, I would rather say, that up and down going on. Uh, but I was looking for a person really who could put optimism inside me. A bit of a motivation would have gone a long way for me. So, all of these things, and I'm really glad. Thank you so very much, Jessica, that you have joined us today. And because you're a person who understands the essence of each individual and individuality and reach to the absolute forgiveness. Now, basically, all of us, each one of us, looking for that kind of thing. And I think today is going to be a wonderful day. By the way, to add to her experiences, to add to her successes. Her discoveries are the core of this new and powerful discipline that is quickly spreading throughout the world. This is amazing, Jessica, that throughout the world you are making and bringing so much of change, and it is incredible to have such people like Jessica around us. She has the honorary doctor in humanities by the World Humanistic University in Florida, that is USA, fellow of the ACCBH in the UK. That's wonderful. Endorsed by the European Academy of Neuroscience, Economy, and Humanities, a wonderful combination. She recently received an international award granted by the APFAS, Peru, recognizing her international innovation and contribution to the well-being of Caribbean communities. Now, this is again an amazing part. She has kept herself so entwined with all of the societies. She is a balanced person. She has an amazing, mesmerizing personality, and I'm sure that all of you are going to enjoy her company. Lockhart is the author of several books, mashallah, and founder of the International Institute of Humanity, with twin seats in Panama and Switzerland. She is the editor in chief of the World of Humanity. I mean, wow, an international monthly magazine as well. So there you have the alliteration, and directs and presents radio and television shows in different countries. So this is just, I'm just going to say that this is just a very brief, sort of introduction of Jessica. And well, thank you so very much, Jessica. I know you are super busy, but I know that you don't mind, giving your output to the social causes. And myself personally, and Read Pakistan, we're all very glad that you have joined us today. How are you today?
Well, thank you so much, Fatima. I'm doing fantastically well. I'm here with you. I couldn't ask for anything better to be doing right now. I enjoy spreading the word of humanology, talking about books. Books are one of my passions in life. And being able to connect with human beings all around the world, like yourself, Fatima, and letting people know that there's another way to do things, that's my goal. That's what I'm here for. So I'm
That's
extremely honored to be here.
Yes, you are honored. No, we are the ones who are truly appreciating that you have joined us. By the way, for the people who have just joined us on a live stream, let me first say, give my apologies for a little bit of delay. We had organized it around 8 o'clock and Pakistan time, and we were a bit late. There were a few glitches, but I'm so glad that Jessica was kind enough and she stayed with us. Otherwise, I was expecting that you would just, fly away. You're a bird. So you would just
No,
fly.
this
Thank
is
you
what
so much.
happens in live TV. This is what goes on when you're doing something live. There could arise little problems that you just solve and keep on going. And that, by the way, Fatima, is another lesson in humanology and optimism coaching. Whenever there is a problem, you just turn it around and be kind, and it becomes an opportunity that you just grasp and go for it.
Yeah,
Instead of saying, I couldn't
I'm
do this.
learning.
Yeah, you say, okay, so what can I do? And you handled it brilliantly. The
Oh,
Zoom platform didn't work. Let's go for another one. Here we are. So
no.
let's go for it.
So kind. You are always very kind with words. I'm just following you up. Okay, I'm just going to share a few because over here, let me share it with you, Jessica. We're going to have live people, and they might just be asking you questions, and they're appreciating us. So we have Khan Mubin, and he says that I'm really happy that you have come to basically he's appreciating that we have started this session. I think he was waiting since some time. Thank you very much, Khan, for for sending us remarks. So okay, so now we're going to get to the important part, the thing that everybody wants to know, everybody wants you to share, Jessica. I will start with the very primary question. We're going to talk about the topic later, and I hope that everybody or most of us know what the topic is going to be, because we've read it a couple of times. But before we go to the topic, Jessica, let's just share your story with books, because I want you to share that the link that actually was established, and let's take it from the beginning, maybe from wherever you want to start from your life. So
Okay, thank you,
let's.
Fatima. I think I was born with a book in my hands. I really think so. I mean, I started reading when I was very, very young. I moved from the US, where I was born and where I spent the first years in my life, to Spain, where I didn't speak the language. And for the first school years, I felt ostracized and I felt uncomfortable because I couldn't make myself understood, and I was not really welcome. I didn't feel welcome. In fact, the first school I ever attended was run by nuns, and they didn't believe I didn't understand them. So they would beat me because they thought I was pretending. So I was very, very young. And that's when I discovered the power of books. One of the hidden powers of books is that it gives you a way out of your reality. And I started reading, as I said, very early, and I just devoured books. I read and read and read. I got so obsessed by reading that I would read anything that I could get my hands on. I recall breakfast time at my house, it was forbidden to read at the table because that's horrible manners. So I would just take the box of milk, or I would take the chocolate box, and I would just read the ingredients over and over again because my mind needed to read. I think it was a way to run away from that reality again. One of the powers of books is that by entering the story that you're reading or entering the world that the book gives you, you can handle the reality you're actually living. I always say that the human brain is stupid. It's really dumb. Sometimes it doesn't distinguish between reality and fiction. To the brain, fiction can be as real life. you can just think about going to the movies. When you're watching a movie and you're really into the movie, it makes you feel things that lead to physical reactions in your body. So you can start crying, you can feel anguished, you can feel happy, and you're just watching something that your brain knows is not real. It's not really happening, but your brain doesn't know it's not happening and it's reacting to that. So in a way, reading a book leads us to living those experiences and not the ones we have in life. When your mind is in the book, you're not here, you're in the book. And then as I grew up, and because I was also extremely bullied in school for some years, books were my solace. Books were my way out of that ugly reality. And then I just read and read and read and read. I devoured books. I remember I would read several books a day. I'm quite a fast reader because, well, I read so much. And you would never see me without a book in my hands. And I'm surrounded by books, I've always been. And then I started writing, because it's the other part of books. I started writing, I think also very young. I wrote different things. I used to like writing poetry, which I don't do anymore. But the real kick was when I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I was in a Spanish class in school, and we were asked to write a composition. So I wrote a funny, descriptive type of story about my classmates, and the teacher found it hilarious and asked me to read it to the whole class. I was scared because, as I said, I had been bullied. I wasn't really that much accepted. So I got there and I started reading the story, and people started laughing. And they were not laughing at me, they were laughing with me. And that made complete difference. And it was like, wow, I'm being accepted for the first time just because of this text. And that gave me wings. Well, a few years later, I wrote my first book, The Optimist in You, and I've written a few after that. I hope this answers your question, Fatima.
Of course it does, because I really wanted you to focus on your special connection with books, and it's so amazing because you've really illustrated one point, which is something really people don't focus on that, and that is the point of escapism. So basically, from the reality of life, you need escapism, and a lot of it at times. I find it nowadays, I think, devastated by Instagram. But so we're going to move to the topic now. It's about the hidden power of books. So what basically do you think the hidden power of books, really, what does that mean to you?
Okay, what I wanted to convey with this topic is that books are not just a way to escape reality. Books are not just a source of knowledge, because of course you read books to learn things. All those vicarious experiences and lives that you live through books are part of your growing knowledge. But they're a source of many, many more things that might be related to those two, but are wider and deeper. We said that books are a source of knowledge and innovation, but they're also a source of fun. When you read a book and you're having those experiences, you're enjoying them. Even when you read a scary book, you're enjoying the thrill of it. That's why you read them, because you're having fun. And sometimes fun is not that prevalent in our lives. Look at this pandemic. A lot of people are having a horrible time. And watching movies or reading books is a way in which they can have a good time, even if it's for a short period of time. But if they get into the habit of reading every day and finding the right appropriate books, they can have a little fun every day. And that's fundamental for human beings. All human beings need fun in their lives. And giving yourself that little window, that little time box, as I call them, time box of fun and entertainment completely breaks the monotony and the lack of excitement in your life. So books are a wonderful source of fun. At the same time, we said that our brain believes what we're reading. And when you are into the story and you're reacting to the story, something magical happens. It's not just that you're enjoying a story, It's not just that you're in the story, living that experience. It's, as I said before, that your brain actually believes it and then reacts to it. And it reacts, for example, by releasing certain chemicals in your body, in your bloodstream, that cause certain emotions in you. For example, if you read a love story and you're like, oh, wow, this is so nice, so sweet, your body starts releasing oxytocin. And oxytocin makes us feel, among other things, makes us feel welcome, makes us feel like we belong wherever we are. Oxytocin gives us the feeling of attachment, and it also lowers our stress. So imagine, if you're a person like I was, a teenager who felt ostracized, a kid who felt scared, and you read a book about loving and acceptance, you immediately started feeling better. And that connection, that release of neurotransmitters and hormones actually changes the way you feel. Other neurotransmitters and hormones that your brain can start releasing when you are reading a book are, for example, dopamine, or let's see if I can pronounce it right, acetylcholine. When your brain releases dopamine and you have dopamine in your bloodstream, you can control your moods much better. Important if you're not feeling happy with your life at present. It can also help you have a certain sense of euphoria and excitement. It helps you with your motivation. So it really helps you focus on whatever it is that you're doing. So if you use books as a way to focus, as a way to ground yourself in life, it also helps you. The third one I said, and I could talk about neurotransmitters for the whole day, but I'm just going to limit it to these three because we're talking about the hidden powers of books, is that acetylcholine. Acetylcholine helps us also very much with motivation, and it even has a physical effect in our bodies, apart from the chemicals. When we have that component in our bloodstream, our heart rate slows down. So imagine you are having a nasty time in your life and you start reading, and that reading can even lower your heart rate. So books have all these powers that we're not even aware of. When you read a book and you really get into the story, a whole bunch of magical things happen. Do you want me to continue? I have a few other hidden powers of books that I want to share with you.
Talk about this, but this is like really important because the thing that you've just said, it can actually cure a lot of problems as well. I mean, I'm picking it out of your conversation that basically people who have high blood pressure, for that matter, people who have other disorders, like for instance depression, because it's a disease, and we go to a psychiatrist, we go to people to get medication, and if you want to control it by your own, you can actually do that through reading. So this is actually and genuinely the hidden power of books. So I think that's amazing. Tell me something. Do you think, I mean, this is going to be a bit of a question that's related with your own, personality, with your own person. Do you think that eventually, say about 20 years down the lane or 30 years down the lane, do you think that there is going to come a time when through reading, we can actually physically heal people? What do you think about that, Jessica? I was thinking about this, and I wanted to ask you this.
I think we're already doing it. As simple as
Great.
that. Okay.
Give me an example.
Yeah. Now I was going to say, let me give you a clear example of something that can be easily explained. Okay. Stress and fear. Okay. In humanology, we say that when people are stressed or when people are afraid, they're actually going with their minds onto the future. Because when a person is worried about something and starts asking themselves, so what if this doesn't work? What if this, is the question of fear and is the question of stress, okay? When we start asking ourselves, what if this happens, that thing is not happening yet. It's in the future. By definition, fear is always in the future. It could be a close future or a far away future, but it's not here yet. So every time a person goes in their minds to the future, and they start fighting that possible situation. What if I catch COVID? Oh, then if I catch COVID, then I might have to go to the hospital and blah, 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 blah. You're imagining all the fighting you're going to have to do. Remember, your brain is stupid. It believes it's fighting, and it's releasing cortisol and norepinephrine into your bloodstream. Cortisol and norepinephrine are the chemicals that we release when we're going to face an enemy, when we're going to either fight or flee. So every time we go into that mental future that doesn't exist, remember, we are segregating, we're releasing all those chemicals. And if we spend a lot of time every day in that future, we're really raising the levels of cortisol and norepinephrine in our bodies. Not only that, we're so busy worrying that we can't liberate, we can't lower the rates of those chemicals because we're doing nothing else but worrying. If you want to release or if you want to get rid of them, you have to exercise, or you have to laugh, or you have to do other things that counterbalance the negative impact, the negative effects of all those chemicals that are the causes of stress and fear. Then, imagine the person who's always worrying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Now give them a book. Let me grab one. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. They're not worrying. They're not afraid. They're not raising the levels of cortisol and norepinephrine. You're actually already helping them. For example, I mean, that's a very, very simple example. Help people understand what they need to do, and then they can decide how to do it. And reading is an easy way to get out of your mind. If you like reading, you have to like it though.
Oh yeah, it's like a door in the wall. See, there was this short story, and my father used to tell me about it when I was a little girl. And once or twice, maybe he told me, and there was a door in the wall. And if you just Google it up, you probably would find that short story somewhere. The guy who wanted to have escapism in his life, and eventually walks through the door in the wall. So basically, yes, you are right that you have to like it, but here. I'm going to share it with you, and maybe it will be all, happy thought for you, because we are working on people, and we're working on we're trying to work on that people should start liking to read, which is quite an impossible and improbable job to do at times, because we don't have that real sense developed. I mean, I'm not just saying about the third world countries. Even I'm sure that you have experienced it around around yourself, that a lot of people don't like to read. But I find it more susceptible in communities who just have the knowledge and the way through it, and then they would just say, yeah, we want to read. But over here, unfortunately, for the third world countries or the underdeveloped countries, and that includes Pakistan, unfortunately. But I'm not ashamed of saying it, because the first step towards correcting yourself is the realization of the problem that you have at hand. So yes, our society, our community has this problem that we can't, even if we give them books, we can't make them read. So eventually, yes, it happens, and it becomes a problem. So we're trying to deal with it. So we're trying to create readers, and that's where we're going to make them like reading. So okay, another. I'm just going to share a few comments, because they start popping up on my screen. So I'm going to share them with you. We've got a bit of appreciation coming in, saying that this is going as an amazing session. And Azim saying it's very interesting. Dr. Rahman saying you're the one who calls the laws of attraction into action, and you do it through your thoughts. So I think people have started to cling to the thought pattern that we're having. Okay, so I'm going to move a bit forward so that we can go into a little deep into the hidden power of book. Tell me, one writer that you would actually consider who has explored your hidden paths. Because I know as a person you are, the kind of excellence, mashallah, that you have gained in life. There has to be certain teachers. I know those teachers were books, because that you have made quite evident. But I want a name for a person who you personally like as a writer.
Wow.
No.
Okay, there are
So
many, of course, there are many, as you said.
please share
Uh,
them.
but there's one writer who became quite well known a few years back and then is not that followed anymore because he wrote two kinds of books.
No.
He wrote books about flying airplanes, which I'm not really interested in. I'm not, well, it's not my kind of reading. But he also wrote other books that were inspirational in their own right. I'm talking about Richard Bach. Richard Bach is the writer who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull, but he also
Yes.
wrote, yeah, but he also wrote a little tiny book that my father gave me when I was a teenager.
Mine too.
The sorry?
Mine too. My father
Yes.
gave me that as well.
Yeah, no, but he didn't give me Jonathan Livingston Seagull. He gave me the other one. The other one is entitled "The Stories of a Reluctant Messiah." And that little book, because it's very little and it's quite original, shocked me. It shocked me because I'd never read anything like that. And it completely opened a new world to me. The world of learning about life in books that were not the typical novel. Because this book is a unique type of book. I recommend everyone who hasn't read it to look for it. Well, funnily enough, a few years later, I had the pleasure of connecting with Richard Bach, who was still writing until a few years ago. He had some severe illnesses, but he recovered, and he had accidents and he recovered. So he has always been quite an inspiration to me as a human being and as a writer. And although that might not be the best literature, literally speaking, it is a book that has so many different layers of meaning that every time you read, you learn something new. And to me, that's also something important in certain books. When you understand a level, but then you go deeper to the next level, and then even deeper to the next level, and you keep on learning, is because that book has a lot of hidden power to give and share with you. So I
That
would
is
just mention Richard Bach.
I think that is a wonderful name. It's a renowned name. Everybody, I'm sure most of us know about that, but it's very important. And you have mentioned, you've limelighted a person who wrote very tiny books, but very influential, gave an impact that was, I'm saying, they left, left years of impact on the community, on the society that they were being written. And I think that was the most amazing thing about Richard, that he's a superb writer. So yes, and I'm sure that you would have been able to help him out. I mean, with your optimism and everything.
For sure, that's for sure. I'm sure he is an optimist in heart, at heart.
No, that's wonderful. I'm going to ask something which is going to be a little different from books. So I'm going to ask you, because the humanology subject that you have, I'm going to ask a couple of things from that as well. People are really wanting to know. There were 2-3 people who personally messaged me on the groups, on the WhatsApp groups, and when we shared that initially, we wanted them to come for the live session as well, but they wanted actually to come in to know. So it led to a couple of questions which were quite interesting, and I just want to put them forward to you so that all those people who have been asking me should be actually directly asking you. So basically, Jessica, just let me know. You think how important it is for optimism, say for instance, to be in your life? Of course, everybody knows that it's really important, but do you think that with all this hodgepodge going up in our lives, number one, and then the circumstances which keep on playing their own pun in our lives, and so number two, and then three, that as different people as a set of different people as we are, and also people who are more pessimistic at times, where we just can't be optimistic at times. So all these combinations, when they come in, what do you actually, how can we get optimism? How can we make it, make it happen in our lives? How can it change our personalities? How can it bring in change? Tell me,
Okay, I'm going to tell you two things to answer that question. The first
please.
one is that I one day realized that I'd completely lost my own optimism. This power and this strength and this energy that you see in me was always in me. I was always very, very, very strong, and I was always very energetic. But because of my own life story, I lost my optimism. For those of you who don't know my story, I had 2 car accidents. I was disabled, completely disabled. I was told I would never walk again. I'd be in a wheelchair, and I was in constant acute pain for years, every day. There was a time in which, for 7 years, I was in acute pain every day. I can't take any medication. I'm allergic to everything. So I would try to get up from bed, and I would just fall onto the ground. And because of the constant acute pain, because of the incapacity to continue working, which was something I loved doing back then, because of many, many different things, I lost my optimism. And a friend of mine, an old friend, came to visit me one day, and she said, "So whatever happened to you?" And I started telling her my horrible story of my accidents. "Oh, this happened." No. I know all that. Where did your optimism go? And that's when it really shook me. I said, wait a minute, she's right. This is not me. I've never been like this. Where did that go? And that's when I started studying optimism. Many years ago, one day I decided I want my optimism back. I want to continue being the very strong woman I was, even if I'm in pain, even if I can't walk. Well, I devoted a lot of years to studying optimism. One of the results of that is that I am not in a wheelchair. I can walk. I recovered. I have limitations. I still have my back problems, but I can handle them. I can really control my own life. So optimism pays. And the second thing I want to say is that we're all born optimists. Every human being is a born optimist. When a baby is born, the baby will continue being an optimist until we, adults, teach them to stop being optimists. How do I know? Well, if a normal, healthy baby, not abused or anything strange, but a normal, healthy baby wakes up in the morning, the baby always opens the eyes and expects the best from life. It expects life to feed it, to nurture it, to love it, to protect it. And it expects adventure and fun. I usually always say that one of the definitions of optimism is resilience, which is buzzword today. I know, that capacity of getting up after you fall and getting up again. I usually say that optimism is resilience plus hope. Because the difference between a resilient person and an optimist is that the resilient person falls and gets up again. But the optimist falls, gets up again, and takes one more step because they go ahead, they look into the future. Then we are born optimists. We are learning to walk when we're 2 years old. We fall 100,000 times and we still get up and continue walking. That's who we are. But then don't keep your head in the clouds. Put your feet down on the ground. You have to plan, you have to plan, you have to plan. You have to be realistic. No. Don't daydream so much. We teach our children that being an optimist is wrong because we believe that optimists are just brainless people who are always smiling and laughing, and that's not true at all. The real optimist is the person who keeps on getting up with hope, who keeps on trying, who never ever gives up. I didn't give up. I continued looking for a solution to my back, and here I am. The real optimist is therefore a very logical person, a person with their feet on the ground, because if not, we would just be thoughtless beings, and we're not. There are thousands upon thousands of studies that prove that optimists enjoy better, longer, healthier, more fruitful lives. So why should we all be optimists? Because that's our true nature. There are no babies who wake up in the morning and say, one more day. What kind of crap is life gonna give me today?
Oh,
No. No, unless, of course, as I said, they've been abused. Normal toddlers, normal 4-year-olds always wake up with expectations and happiness in their heart. So why do we reject it? Because we think we know best.
that's brilliant. That's really brilliant. Now I know how come you have become such a wonderful speaker. By the way, people who are listening to us, they should all know and that Alhamdulillah, Jessica is an amazing speaker. She just attracts everybody like a magnet, and then she keeps them. So
Thank
that's about
you.
so, but that's so that's such an amazing thought process because this is something that people probably just don't understand. That, and I think this sentence, the one that you have just said, is super, super duper amazing. That you're saying that we are all born optimists, and I love the way you just explained it. It's amazing. So, okay, I'm going to come up with another. By the way, there is another person appreciating, and Umar is online with us. He says that I'm loving the session. This is great, and you know the kind of topics that Read Pakistan brings in, and the kind of people that Read Pakistan invites are the kind of people that we want as leaders for the change of thought process. So thank you very much, Umar. Okay, so I have another question, and people have to definitely agree with me because this is the kind of a thing that everybody in the little child inside us is looking for that. Okay, so I'm going to put forward, Jessica, that I was just wondering, you know, a couple of days back, and this is something, this is food for thought for a lot of people, because when I speak with people, I see that there is a lot of different kind of whites that you keep getting from the society, from the community. I'm not focusing it on and I'm sure that this is not a chauvinistic question, but I'm going to bring it from the side of the women. Okay, so there are a lot of women, and they keep on saying that they need a way to make their lives more positive. I think that's another just way of saying that they want to make their lives more optimistic, the way that you want them to, and the way you portray that life should be. And I completely agree with that thought process and the school of thought. But for women, you see that there are more glitches, there are more problems, and then you know, for even for a working woman, I'm not saying that you know those kind of women who are not working, who are not given their rights, or somebody from a third world country, but actually the working class of women who, you know, sometimes face a glass ceiling effect. Sometimes they are just given lower income as compared to a male person who is in the same employment section or in the same organization, and they just realize that I'm getting something to have what this gentleman is getting only because he's a so this leaves them with an imprint in their mind that life is sort of not fair.
Yeah.
What can you say something?
I could answer that question with many different points of view. Um, I'm going to start by saying that our societies are clearly not equal. No, I mean, there's no real equality, and there's no real equity. Okay, because one thing is equality, something else is equity. When we talk about equality, we expect everybody to be the same. And that hasn't been reached. And I don't think it will ever be reached. Why? I just told you I'm a disabled person. Not only am I disabled, I'm also a woman of a certain age. So that already places me in certain minority groups. And if I want to compete with everybody else, I am not starting from the same point. I'm
No.
starting from farther behind just because I don't have the same skills. Okay? I have difficulties, physical difficulties, for example, sometimes to move, and that already places me in a lower level for certain activities. Imagine we wanted to do something physical, okay? It is true that because of that, I developed other skills like public speaking, for example, that help me reach my goals maybe a different way. But that's not equality, that has to be equity. So if we really want women to be at a similar level, we all, men and women, have to go for equity. We have to help those who have differences reach the same goal. And you're saying, well, sometimes women are paid less than men for the same job. Yeah, but not only that. They're being paid less than men for the same job, but at the same time, they have more work at home than men usually do. They have to take care of many other things, many more than men. So it's not just a matter of the physical salary. It's also a matter of the quality of life. It's a matter of time management. So all in all, society has to try and help everyone reach that equity that I'm talking about. And this brings me to the second perspective. I was completing an article for our magazine today that will come out on Monday. By the way, if anybody wants it, just send me a message and I will I'll send a copy to you. I was writing an article precisely on a topic that could be related to this, which is how abusers are sometimes become abusers because that is their worldview and the set of beliefs they grew up with. And that is what we're facing here. We're asking society to find that equity, but we're not handling and we're not being able to change the basic underlying beliefs that are so prevalent in cultures by which both men and women look at one another and immediately consider those people inferior. So when a person believes something, and I'm going to go scientific here again, when a person believes something, there's a certain part of their brain called the reticular activating system that connects the neurons in a way so as to highlight whatever part of their reality can confirm their beliefs. So let me give you an example. I'm sure you have already encountered cases in which people say, for example, oh, I became pregnant and suddenly I started seeing pregnant women everywhere. Or I was thinking about buying a certain car and then I started seeing everybody with the same car. Well, that's because that system has been inactivated and is calling your attention to those pieces of reality, which, by the way, is behind the secret. Somebody was talking about the law of attraction. That's what's behind the law of attraction. That system, the RAS that we have in our minds, is constantly on the lookout for confirmation for our beliefs. Why? It's a survival mechanism. When a person doubts their beliefs, let me rephrase that. When you're certain about your beliefs, I know you're strong and solid, right? When you question your belief, you go like, and if this is not so, what if I'm wrong? Then you feel uncertain and insecure. Imagine if we started questioning all the beliefs we have all the time. We would be in constant insecurity and in constant uncertainty, therefore in constant crisis. That's why we have this little system in here in the brainstem that helps us confirm our reality all day long. And by confirming our beliefs in our reality, we're at peace. So imagine now a child who's born in a house where the father is the breadwinner. Maybe the father is quite chauvinistic and abuses the mother verbally. For example, I'm just giving an example, okay? That is going to be what that child learns at home. And if that is repeated in the wider community, that's going to be reinforced. And the child will only focus on that which confirms what he already believes so as not to feel uncertain. Therefore, until we start as a society, until we start creating alternative models for those behaviors, until as a society we get together and offer alternative beliefs that people can focus on through their RAS, the believers are going to continue believing. If you fight a person's belief, the person will defend it even more strongly because they need certainty. They need to feel secure. Therefore, if you want that equity, you have to go to the bottom of the problem, which is the inherited family and cultural beliefs that we have in our societies. That's not an easy task, but it's doable. Did I answer you?
Yes, Jessica, I think that's quite an eye-opener because when we come to think of things like these, which are a part of our society, a part of our community, then it's very simple. It's very eloquent. It's quite evident that we will have a lot of problems. Also, but the point is that, yes, you're right. We need to bring in the change from the community, from the society within, and from outside. But for people or for specifically, when we see them and we see that our society has not been able to bring in that change, what do you think? What do you suggest for a woman who is just stuck up into a system like that? Do you think that she should just move her eye away from the reality and, just keep on, doing her own thing, being her own self? Or what do you suggest for
Okay.
her? Yeah.
Because I said you can't fight them frontwards because then they're going to react the opposite way. There's two things again that you can do. The first one is, okay, this is reality. You can fight it and you can hit yourself against the wall over and over again. That's not what an optimist would do. An optimist, as I said, is not stupid. An optimist will try the first one, and if he can't go over that obstacle, the optimist will try to go around, to go underneath, to go over it. They will look for ways. That's what we optimists do. And if there's no way to change that, the optimist will change the objective. Okay, so maybe I can't get that. Let's see if I can get something else that might, in the longer run, lead me there. So what women can do is something that I was talking about a couple of days ago in a presentation that I was asked to give here in Panama on how to build themselves in a positive way. Okay. In most societies in the world, I think almost all of them, we are taught to look for our mistakes and correct them. We're taught that we have defects that we have to fix. So we're taught that we have to plan ahead and avoid any possible defect in us or any possible mistake in us to be successful. So we end up growing and we end up becoming defect seekers. We're constantly focusing on what we do wrong. We're constantly focusing on what we can't do. We're constantly berating and punishing ourselves for what we cannot be. I recommend the opposite way. There are fantastic athletes out there, many, many famous athletes who became number one in the world. And I can guarantee they didn't become number one in the world just by correcting their mistakes. You know what they did, Fatima? This is a mistake. You correct it, you get here. Okay? Or this is a defect. You correct it, you get here. All of us have mistakes. All of us have defects. But we also have strengths. We also have skills. We also have abilities. What if instead of doing this, we start from what we already do well and become excellent at it? You know what usually happens? When you do that and you become excellent at what you already did well, what you were doing wrong starts correcting itself automatically. And that's what the greatest athletes already learned many years ago, to focus on what their strong suits are, on focusing on what they already do good to do fantastically well. And that's how they become superstars. So women, you all have fantastic assets. You all have virtues, skills, abilities, strengths. You have your own powers. So instead of correcting yourselves for those things that you think are not okay, why don't you start building the ones that you are good at and become brilliant at those? One thing is grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, and start writing, okay, what is it that I do well? What am I good at? Personally,
Yeah.
professionally, physically, even, and start looking for those things and rate them. Okay, I am very honest. I barely ever tell lies. I'm quite an honest person. Okay, then rate it. 1, 10. 1, I never do it. 10, I do it all the time. How often are you honest? Be honest. How often are you honest? Well, 8 out of 10 times. Okay, you want to be brilliant? Aim at the 9 or aim at the 10. Be aware of your own strengths and then make them better. If you start doing that and you do it personally, professionally, even with your family, with your friends, in every important sphere in your life, you will immediately start outshining everybody else because you'll be your best you. And yes, that ceiling will still be there, but you'll feel good about yourself and it might not bother you that much anymore. So we can't fight all battles, but we can at least do what is in our power to be okay and to feel good. Will that
That
help?
is such, yes, this is such a wonderful answer because it's just not this one problem that comes in. You have so nicely actually just told the female community that okay, even if you have problems, either just fix them or you recognize that I have better abilities, or just feel the change in you to the excellence, to the par excellence that eventually society is not going to really matter to you, which is amazing because this is exactly, I think, which this is something which women want at this part in time, how things are changing and everything. I didn't even realize that so much time has just passed by, 51 minutes that we're going live, and I have to ask you too much. You have to promise me that in the coming, I'm not asking you tomorrow or the day after, but whenever you have time, you have to give another section to read Pakistan, because there are people who are asking things about optimism, about a subject, and they want us to focus on that. So I want the next session, whenever that is going to be, so um, coordinated with you, whenever it is congenial and convenient for you, we'll keep it like that. So we have to focus and talk about your subject
Mhm.
whenever you have time.
Okay, sure. My pleasure. As I told you at the beginning, I
Yeah.
love spreading this word around the world because, and this I didn't say, I am convinced the whole world is on the verge of a new revolution. We went through the agricultural, industrial, technological revolutions, and every time there was a revolution, humanity became polarized,
Yeah.
and people started defending their own views very strongly. Remember the industrial one, for example, those in favor of evolution and those against it, they fought and clashed. And that's what we're seeing in the world right now. But you know what I believe? I believe that the revolution this time is going to be a human one. I think humanity needs to go back to its basics. And what are the basics of humanity? Us, human beings. We have to go back to basics. We have to go back to knowing and understanding who we are so we can take action. And that action will have an impact upon the whole planet. That's what needs to be done. And I think that's where we're going. So, of course, I'll be here. I'll be anywhere and everywhere people need me because that's what we have to do. We have to get together. We have to help one another. And we have to do what humanity needs right now.
Yeah, I think I would completely agree. Okay, tell me about the epidemic. There's so much COVID around us, and there's so much pessimism, and I see a lot of things coming in. There are WhatsApp messages, there are groups. People keep on sending, things, messages, sometimes videos, very nicely done though. But I think there should be a message from your side how this epidemic is moving and how people should relate it with books
Okay.
the influence of books and with what is going on around in the world. It's everywhere. So
Well, the first thing I'd
I
say, yeah, no, the first thing I'd say is that the pandemic made people realize that there's no certainty in anything, and that life can change overnight, and then suddenly we are in the middle of something completely new and unexpected. And that has caused, once again, tremendous fear in many human beings. A few human beings said, "Oh, I can't plan anymore because life is like that. I adapt. That's fine." But most people haven't done that. Most people have gone from feeling more or less okay and relaxed in their lives to being fearful and uncertain about what's coming next. And as a result of that, a lot of people are living a lot of hours in their brains, in their minds, in the future. And they're all suffering a lot. And they're all creating stress for themselves. And they're all not here solving their reality because they're in the future. And that, coupled with another very fearful reality, which is the economic crisis that is looming in the horizon, that economic crisis that has to be, because a lot of jobs were lost, a lot of people have no money to survive on. So this whole pandemic really destroyed a lot of things. But one of the most important things, in my opinion, is that sense of calm and peace that we had before. Fake, relative, but we had it. So what I think we're going to be facing in the coming months, at least, is an exacerbated level of fear in human beings. And what would I suggest for that? Well, what I said before. Are you sick with COVID right now? No. Then take control of your reality. What is it that you can do now? Here, because that's the only place you are. You're not in the future. You're not sick. What can you do now to avoid getting sick, to enjoy what you're doing today, to maybe create a better future now? Second, are you sick? Yes, I have COVID. Okay, what can you do now to fight that disease in your body? What is in your power? What is it that you can do now to survive? Are you unemployed? You lost your job? Yes, and I don't know how I'm going to live because you're in the future again. What is it that you can do now? So the key question is always here, not what if or what should I do? No, it's what can I do now? Because that's your only power. So people, get out of your heads. Get back onto the earth. Get back onto this life. Connect with other human beings and help one another do things now. That's the only power we have.
Yes, present is so important. It's so important, so important. Okay, I want you, because very little time is left, I want you to give one message out to the community about reading, about the reading culture that should be flourishing. And if you don't agree, then you can say, no, it shouldn't be flourishing, So you can, please, send out a message that can go to people about the reading culture. And please, if you can, connect it with the optimism in one's personality and how these two things are the prime fundamental basis on of a person, of a person's inside. So I don't know how you place it.
Let's see, in a sentence or two. I was reading the other day that when people read, they can learn at their own pace. Whereas when they watch, they're always pushed by the speed at which the video is projected or the movie is projected. So if you want to regain control over your learning capacities, read instead of watching. We already mentioned a few of the hidden powers of books. There's many others. We didn't have time to go over all of them. But another one that I really, really, really wanted to point out is when you read stories, stories give you a lot of resources. Remember, you're living those stories vicariously. You're living those stories in your mind, so you're learning. Even if you don't put them into practice in your real life, you might in the future. So why don't you offer yourself the challenge, the opportunity to apply another tool we use in humanology that is a Japanese technique used in manufacturing that we apply to humanology is called Kaizen. Kaizen means taking a huge objective and reducing it to small milestones and small steps. You don't like reading? Try reading 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes. But, and this is the important thing, okay? Time your 5 minutes. When the alarm clock rings, bang, and the 5 minutes are over, celebrate. I did it. I read for 5 minutes. Yay! Why? Because that good emotion, that celebration, the celebratory move or dance will make your brain realize that that was good. And the next time you go back to the book, instead of reading 5 minutes, read 10 minutes. And when you finish those 10 minutes, celebrate. You know, that's an easy way to get into reading. I hope
That is. Yes, it does. It's wonderful. Thank you so very much, Jessica. For people who were with us, thank you very much that you joined us. Jessica, I really want to personally thank you because this is so important for us that what we have taken from the society, we should be returning it back. And you're supporting this cause. You're not just somebody who's just passing by and I can easily get time from them. I know everybody's time is important, but especially for a person who has to do a lot of research, a lot of writing. She's a speaker. So I hope that everybody knows by now that she's a renowned international award-winning writer and speaker. And she has created humanology, the new discipline that we were just talking about. So you're somebody who has a lot in her plate. Somebody who doesn't have time just like that, and somebody so for me, I always say this, Jessica, that we all have 24 hours at our hand, so we just can't be everything out in the world. We have to limit ourselves, and out of that 24 hours, if you have pulled out time for Read Pakistan, I'm super duper really really grateful to you. Thank you so very much for your time. Everybody that's still on. Jessica was with us. She and myself, I have the star is little, but Jessica has, so wonderfully and so brilliantly emphasized on all the aspects of the hidden secrets of reading, on how important reading is, and not just that, she's also shared her story with books, and the books that those are amazing. Actually, I call them people. They are wonderful people in our lives because they are characters. They are living things. They are not just something that's just lying here and there. So they're alive. So thank you so very much, everybody, and thank you very much, Jessica. I am really, really honored to have you.
No, I thank you, Fatima, and I thank Read Pakistan for this opportunity. As I said, this is my call, and I really want everybody in the world to recover their optimism, to understand who they are, and to take control of their lives. Together, we multiply. Thank you.
Yes, we will. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.